Well, we're really excited to have you on the show. I've been a big fan of Teen Mom for many years. So I've been watching you and your family on TV for a while. So I was very excited when you agreed to come on and speak to us.
Oh God, don't judge me.
No. What's great is that hearing your podcast, you get to know you for real. It's not like on the show where you kind of just see little parts of your life, but on your podcast, you really get to know you and your sister. Here, we don't want to focus too much on Teen Mom or anything. We want to talk specifically about the fact that you're actually a pot smoking mom like us. I gotta say, I was really excited when I found that out.
Right?
When I discovered that, I was like, oh my goodness, she's one of us. So I actually wanted to, I actually discovered it on Teen Mom, which is strange.
Wait, you did?
Yes. I saw like a little tiny clip that I was like, wait a minute, is that what I thought I saw? I'm going to play it for you real quick. I made a TikTok of it.
Dang.
Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, what is that?
And that was literally my reaction when I saw that.
I'm so embarrassed.
Why? I was so excited when I saw that.
Yeah, we're actually very proud of you for that.
You're proud of
no
me.
wonder I connect with Cheyenne so much.
Damn it. I would say that I've kept the fact that I like cannabis away from the show really well. I've been doing MTV Viacom shows for the past this year will make 9 years that I've been on reality TV. And I've always kept them separated for numerous reasons. I'm sure you guys can all figure them out. And, you know, this last year, I really came into like myself, like as a mom, as a wife, as a woman. And I said, like, fuck it. Like, you know, at this point, like, what they gonna do? Like, nobody can say shit. Like, my kids are beautiful. They're healthy. They're smart. No one can say I'm a bad mom. I feel like I've established that I'm a good mom. And for my bridal shower, which is where that clip is from, my mom asked, like, what were my bridal shower wishes? And I feel like when other brides were like, I want, like, a champagne bar or, like, fancy lingerie, I was like, I want somebody there who's rolling up weed. Like, I want someone at the party who's rolling individual joints for the guest. And my mom was like, okay. So one of my friends actually is the head of marketing of a cannabis company called Viola, which is pretty big out here. We went to college together, and my mom hit him up and was like, can you get me a roller? Like, can you find me a roller? And he's like, what are you talking about? And she had to, further explain what she meant in her own old people terms. And he found like this girl, now I call her the roller. But I ended up looking up her page, and she's like the person who like rolls like Snoop Dogg's joints and like all these like fancy people who smoke weed joints. And I'm like, oh my God, she did my party. I didn't even know. And they got me like custom matches. It was really, really cute. I realized like after I posted that, I did a post for just that table, like showing that table, and I got a lot of positive feedback from other moms that indulge, and I got a lot of negative feedback too. And I wasn't ready for it. I'm sure you guys can speak on that more than I can, because that was my first time even opening that door. But it was like, I wanted to almost put up another post like, wait, you guys don't smoke.
And you know what? A lot of times you'd be surprised. The calls coming from inside the house, girl. And it's like people who are like, they're throwing whatever judgment that has been thrown them back at you when they're the ones that smoke too, because that's what usually happens after you go back and forth. Well, always like, don't feed the trolls, but you kind of the trolls feed each other, and you'll find out that a lot of these people are also smokers, and it's just kind of strange.
Yeah.
It was actually one of our listeners that showed me that post, because when I made that TikTok, she's like, "Yeah, she posted it on Instagram," and I was like, "I follow her. How did I not see this?" But I follow you on my personal Instagram, which I'm never on because we're so busy on our podcast one. So I went and looked at it, and I was like, "Oh my god!" So I immediately followed you from Pot Smoking Moms too.
I have to
She's
go and
one of
follow
us.
you
This is
guys.
amazing.
No, it's
So
crazy.
when we reached out to you to be on the show, what was your first impression when you saw this Pot Smoking Moms
Yeah,
podcast?
like, were you open to talking about
you
it
have
since you've been
doubts?
concealing it for such a long time on the show? Like, were you like, oh, I don't know about this, maybe I shouldn't?
So the crazy thing is, it seemed like once I opened that door to let people know that, I do smoke. I like edibles. I'm not particularly good at it. Like, if you ask my husband, he'd say, like, I'm a terrible high person. Like, I'm just, I need to do it, like, once the kids are down for bed. I used to be able to, like, smoke and function and, like, get things done. I think after I had Ace, it just doesn't work for me. So I'm like a nighttime closet smoker. That's what my friends call me. Or if I don't have the kids, then I'll smoke all day. But if I have them, I need to like function and still be me. I mean, I'm still me. You get what I mean. But
I know what you mean.
I still need to be like, I'm here with you. So I think that it kind of all came at once, where all of a sudden all these like cannabis companies or podcasts or platforms that were like, wait, we didn't know. Now that we do know, let's talk about it.
What's up?
And at first I was like, I asked my manager, what do I do? Like, what do you think I should do? And she kind of was like, this is a decision for yourself. You're not doing anything illegal. You're not hurting anybody. This doesn't make you a bad mom. This doesn't make you an incompetent mom. You're still a good mom. Like, you're going to have to make that decision of like, F it, who cares what people think. And there's also this whole world of moms who do smoke that you could relate to and possibly could relate to you. So I chose that route, which is why I'm here. And at the same time, my friend who is like the head of Viola asked me if I wanted to do a Mother's Day cannabis gifting. And I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, what is this? I don't even know what that means, but okay. So he was like, write me a list of like all your like mom friends, regardless of like following, just moms that you want to gift like pre-rolls and edibles to, and cannabis merch and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is so much fun. So I gave him like a list of like 30 moms to gift all this cannabis stuff to. And all the moms posted it and tagged me in it. So then I'm like, oh shit, I gotta repost it. So then all my Mother's Day posts were all weed. And
yes,
people were like, really? And I'm like, oh, wait till they see the podcast come out.
It's like, oh, is Cheyenne a cannabis advocate now? Is this what's happening?
I mean, hey, yeah, we always want people to advocate for cannabis. There's a lot of work to still be done. I mean, we've come a long way, but having you have a platform.
Yeah.
Advocacy is where it's at.
Yeah.
What was your experience, your first time experience with cannabis? So like, when was the first time you smoked it,
So my first experience with even like realizing that it was a thing was actually my prom night. I did not actually smoke, but what my dad does, you guys kind of saw my dad, he's quirky, and he rolled me a fake joint and put it in my purse for my prom night. And when I got my bag later on, I realized there's a fake joint in it, and I was just kind of messing with it, and I unrolled it, and he wrote on it like something funny, like, I bet you thought, like, just basically making a joke, like, yeah, you thought you were about to smoke this. So that was really like my first experience with like anything dealing with marijuana, even though it was fake, but it always stuck with me. And then when I got to college, me being from LA, I just feel like everybody knows how to roll up, and I just, even if I smoked or not, I knew how to roll one. And I realized when I went to school in Virginia that a lot of those girls did not know how to roll one. So a lot of guys would always ask me to roll their joints. And it caused a lot of problems, like in school, because they're like, here's this girl from LA. She thinks she's a hippie. She smokes and she's rolling up all the guys' weed. And I'm like, it's me. I'm here. I rode a skateboard in college. Like, I really fit into my like hippie vibe then. And I was just kind of known for like riding my skateboard to classes, and I was the LA girl who smoked and knew how to roll joints, and I would teach people how to do it. And that was kind of like my first like real experience with it. I feel like growing up, drugs or like trying things were never like something that we couldn't talk about at home. Like my parents always said, if you want to try something, do it at home first, so that you see how you react to things and you're not in the middle of the street naked doing weird shit. You're doing it at home. And that's always kind of stuck with me. So not to say I'm going to just take acid and sit on my parents' couch, but I definitely took shrooms and sat on my parents' couch.
Yeah. I was going to ask you actually, what were your feelings on other plant medicine? It's a lot of laws are changing now around like psychedelics, like shrooms. What are your thoughts on shrooms? I personally love them. I mean, it's not something obviously I do around my children.
Yeah.
But it's something that, you know, every once in a while I'll microdose for a nice day. I think microdosing is a very interesting concept. A lot of people are using that instead of pharmaceuticals for mental health.
So my first experience with shrooms was way before Ryder. So probably 9 years ago, and it was actually with Zach. Everything that I've done first has been with Zach, which is kind of scary to think about. But my sister had this like bag of mushrooms, and she was like, hey, let's do these mushrooms. And me and Zach were like, no, like we don't want to play with you, Kyle. And she was like very convincing, clearly. She put him on this pizza, she turned on Pocahontas, and Zach and I had the worst night ever. She had the best of her life. We had the worst night to the point where I think I ended up like crying and going upstairs and telling my mom, like, help me. We didn't know what we were doing. We ate way too much.
Yeah. You probably ate too much. Yeah.
Who knows where she got it from? Like, there were so many questions regarding that baggie that she had. So we had such a bad experience with it to begin with. Now 10 years later, there's like microdosing that's been introduced. And one of my friends, one day I was having the worst day, just panic attacks and anxiety. And like, I felt like it was just one of those days where I could not get out of bed. And I couldn't even perform as a mom if I wanted to. And she's like, oh my God, you need a microdose. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then she like sent me a picture of this candy bar. It looked like a regular chocolate bar. And she's like, you just take a square, and I call them happy bars. And I'm like, girl, you're way above me right now. I'm in this like dark place, and you're talking about a happy piece of chocolate. So the next time we hung out, she gave me a piece of chocolate. I forgot about our conversation. And about 30 minutes later, I was like giggly and, you know, no anxiety. And I had the best night. And she basically later told me she drugged me. I was, and I was like, I need to start microdosing more. I thought it was great. Definitely not something I could do while being a mom, because I think I was just way too like floaty and in the clouds. But I would say that after that, I did a lot of research on microdosing. I saw what it's been doing for people who have like mental health issues, and I'm all for it. You know, I don't knock really anything unless like you're harming yourself or your family or something. But I think that everybody should try to microdose every now and then.
I find it fantastic, and I have a lot of friends that have found value in it, and they do like a very small dosage, like 0.2, and even that small, it's just a mood enhancer. It just makes you feel a little bit like it's kind of like taking Lexapro or something like that, some kind of antidepressant when you take it in such a small amount.
Yeah.
So a lot of people I've found have been able to actually go on a microdose regimen and switch off their, you know, pharmaceutical drugs and go more the natural route. Yeah.
I love that. I think that's great. You know, I feel like we're so far in age now, like we should be able to try different things without judgment and without like mom shaming, which I feel like is such a huge thing right now. It's so easy to mom shame via social media or whatever platform you're on. And I feel like if you find something that works for you and makes you a happy and better person, then do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, moms are so stressed out. I mean, who needs it more than us? Like, we've got so many things we're handling.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
know?
I agree.
And cannabis helps me with my like ADHD tendencies. Like if I'm like, obviously there's a big difference between when I smoke an entire joint and I get high.
Mhm.
And then there's when I take a hit and it kind of just clears my head, which is strange to hear.
Yeah.
But that's how it works for me when it's just in small amounts throughout the day. And I can actually focus on tasks instead of being so, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, got to do this, you know, and be all over the place. Have you found that cannabis has been helpful to you in any medicinal value? I know you said you usually do it in the evenings. Is that like for you to like de-stress, help with your anxiety?
I would definitely say it helps me de-stress. Zach calls me like a one-hitter at this point. He's like, what happened to you? Like, you used to be so good at this. And I think at this point, I've just learned like my limits of what I need to help me just kind of like relax my mind. I have ADHD. My head goes a gazillion places a mile a minute. And I do agree that if I do hit it, you know, one time, then I'm able to just kind of like think clear. So I understand what you're saying when you say that. Whereas if I do sit and smoke a whole joint, I'm probably laid out on my couch and I feel great. I feel fantastic.
Right.
But I'll be on the
Right.
couch all day. So I've had to really play around with me and cannabis now at this age and what I want from it. And it's different on different days. You know, if it's a weekend and we don't have the kids or my parents have our kids, then I'm as free as a bird. But if it's a regular school night and I know I have to wake up and do things in the morning, you know, I probably hit it once or twice and it does help me relax and watch the movie. For a while I had a lot of like weird appetite issues. Just, I think one, getting body shamed and not feeling like really comfortable in my skin. I almost trained myself like almost not to eat as much as I should, and it was really unhealthy. And one of my friends was like, you should try to smoke a little bit more and it will help you, like, you know, maybe get the munchies, for lack of better terms. And I would say that it honestly helped me like gain my weight back. I probably gained too much back, but I would rather do that than be unhealthy. So it's definitely helped me in like ways that I didn't even think that it could. It's crazy because I had this conversation the other day on, was it on our podcast? I don't think so. Or maybe it was just in real life. But we were talking, I was doing a meeting with a cannabis company, and they asked me if I knew of any moms that cannabis have helped with postpartum. And I was like, I can answer this in like a week. So I wanted to ask you guys because I feel like you would know better than me. I didn't smoke after I had the kids because I was nursing. But now there's all this research about moms that smoke while nursing or smoke while pregnant or help them with postpartum. So I was like, maybe you guys would have a better answer than I would.
We actually had a mom come on the show. Was it Motherhood in the Pursuit of Happiness, that episode? Sunflower.
Well, yeah, she used while she was pregnant. She had hypermesis. Yeah,
like
she
was constantly throwing up and she couldn't keep food down, and they were trying to give her medication for that, and she chose the route of using cannabis instead.
Okay,
right.
And then she also breastfed while using cannabis as well afterwards.
I hadn't my first pregnancy, I tried to do the thing where I was like, well, I haven't smoked the whole pregnancy, so let me see how much longer I could do this. And
like after you had the baby.
After I had the first baby. But it was so rough because I was dealing with like, oh my God, the breastfeeding thing, which I was really trying to make it work out. And thank God I was just like, I had a friend who was like, girl, don't worry about it. It's not that serious. it talked me off a ledge because I was just, everybody out there is like, oh, breast is best. And you kind of feel like super guilty if you're not able to do it. But God, it was like feeding a baby like tiger or something. It was awful. Like when I see women breastfeeding, I'm like, oh my God, you are a goddess. Go you, because like that shit is hard and no thank you.
It's not always easy. For me, I really, really wanted to breastfeed. I was like, I'm going to breastfeed. That's the best thing for my baby. I didn't expect to end up in the ICU for 3 days after giving birth to my son and being separated from him. So he got used to bottle feeding. And I tried for well over a month to try to get him to latch. Mm-hmm. It was so stressful. Every time I tried to feed my child, it was like, let's try the boob. Okay, he's not taking them. He may take a little bit. Okay, now let me give what I've pumped and let me give him some of that with formula. And then let me pump so I don't lose my supply. It was just for a good month and a half I tried. And then I finally said, I'm just going to do formula.
Yeah. I think that society puts a lot of pressure on us.
Right. It does. And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves because we do our research and we know this is really good for our baby.
Yeah. For the second time around, I didn't wait that long before picking up that joint again because it was just such a nightmare the first time. And I think the second time around, you kind of have a better game plan because you know a little bit of what to expect, even though, being a mom, you don't expect anything because it's like a shit show. But I did pick up faster and it was such a much better time. I did the breast pump for a little while and did what I could for the first couple months. And then I was like, I'm not going to stress it.
Yeah.
And I think the guilt I felt, I started going into a little bit of a postpartum like depression because I was like, I'm failing. I wasn't there from him the first few days of his life.
Especially
now I can't breastfeed him. Yeah. Did I not bond with him right? All these things. And when I finally smoked again, it really helped me to not
you were like,
dwell on
I'm fine
and connect with my baby.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I just looked at him and I'm thinking he's beautiful, he's healthy, we're both here. I made it out of the ICU, we're okay. And I was able to enjoy my son and get out of that.
Get over the hang-ups.
Yeah. That's crazy that you were in the ICU after birth. Did you have like an emergency cesarean?
Yeah, he came at 35 weeks because I had preeclampsia. I had high blood pressure. So they admitted me in the hospital, said, let's wait till 37 weeks. But then my blood pressure kept just shooting up and they're like, all right, we'll be out of you tonight. And then afterwards, like my oxygen levels weren't right. My doctor was like, you need to be monitored full time, which she was right because I woke up in the middle of the night that night, like shaking and having a really, really low blood oxygen. So even though I was so mad at her for putting me in the ICU, she was right. She had it right.
So I feel like right now I'm at this age where all my friends are finally starting to have kids. I have a 6-year-old and I'm like, thank you. Finally, you guys are joining the club. But for a long time, it was just me. Now, my friends are starting to have kids and it's so different to see how everybody is handling what that looks like for them. So I have some mom friends that I know who have smoked throughout their pregnancy while they nursed and continue to do it. I have some that are like, I just can't bring myself to do it as much as I would love to smoke to get through this day. And a lot of times people always ask me what I did. And I think just because I had super traditional thoughts and conservative thoughts about a lot of things, especially with Ryder. I did not smoke throughout her pregnancy or when I was nursing, and I nursed Ryder for 18 months, and I had the worst postpartum depression. I thought I was going to go crazy. I'm pretty sure I did go crazy, but it's another podcast for another day. I nursed her for a long, long time, but I was also stuck in that same phase of like, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what everybody told me I should do. But it got so deep that it was to the point where I'm like, okay, get off my tit. And I didn't even know how to get her off. With Ace, it was definitely different. I only nursed Ace for 3 months. He did not like milk. Like from me, from a formula, from a bottle. This boy hates any kind of milk. So to this day, he does not drink milk. Like after I nursed him, it was so hard to get him to drink any type of formula. he just does not like it. He like spit it up immediately. So I was able to get back to smoking a lot faster with Ace. And I do think that that helped my postpartum journey because I was able to give myself something to just like relax and get out of my head and like calm down and not be so hard on myself and help with like my anxiety and the way that my brain works because I feel like my brain works different than a normal person's brain. And I think that cannabis allowed me to do that in some weird way. But when you try to explain that to other moms who don't smoke, they're just looking at you like you're an alien who's high.
Yeah, you just like to get high.
And some people
That's what
just
they
don't
think.
get it. They
You just
don't
like
get
to
it.
get high.
They won't get it. Some people just don't. And they can't and cannot sit here and compare alcohol to weed. I just feel you can't compare the one to the other. How do you
No,
what do
it's
you
completely
feel
different.
about how
that
it's
a
more
thing?
acceptable to drink? Huh?
I didn't know that was a thing.
That what people compare alcohol to weed? Yeah, because people think, oh, it's like a social thing. You smoke weed
Right.
and a party. But I can't compare the two. It's completely different.
Right. Socially speaking, you get socially acceptable to drink around in parties, but like, oh, it's not for weed.
And even on TV, for example, MTV, any TV, it's social. They love feeding the reality TV shows like alcohol on these shows that they're on and like capturing all these people partying and drinking, but forbid to, show any responsible consumption or cannabis like at your bridal shower, like a bunch of responsible people just enjoying cannabis at a bridal shower event with family.
Yeah, that when I did do the cannabis table for the bridal shower, MTV was filming that day, and I want to say I did not tell them. I'm pretty sure I didn't give them a heads up that it was going to be there, and I feel like they shot away from it.
Yeah, they just avoided it.
Right. They avoided it.
Except for that one little clip.
Except for that one clip that got snuck in there that I'm still like, how the hell did that get in there?
And my stoner eyes caught it quick.
Dang, I really do think that what you said is right. Socially, it's more acceptable to have a glass of wine or to go to happy hour or to drink at a party or to play beer pong. But if, you came over and I'm passing out joints, then it would be like, whoa,
Yeah, like you said you got some negative feed that you were surprised to get some negative feedback from your post. Had that been a bar with drinks, do you think you would have gotten the same response?
Yeah. Honestly,
you just get taste from all sides for all things.
Yeah.
I could go outside with like the most beautiful day and post that, and someone will find a problem that my big toe is ugly. Like, it just does not matter. I feel like just because of the platform, there's so much negativity and positivity that comes with it that it just does not matter what I do. Someone will find a problem with it. I've had a lot of people come at me when I post like a glass of wine at the end of the night. Like, there was one night my husband ran me a bath and made me like a little cute charcuterie plate, and I posted it and had a glass of wine, and they were like mad at the wine in the bathtub. Why are you mad at the wine in the bathtub? I left out the other half of the post that did have the rolled joint because I already knew I was going to get some hate. So I do think that for certain people, just depending on your platform, you're going to get hate regardless. You just have to accept it. Not accept the hate, but just do you. Like, literally do what you want. I think that I do get more hate for if I do show cannabis related things than if I do show me out at a bar. But I will say that I put a lot of cannabis related things on Snapchat, and I don't know why I think that like my Snapchat subscribers are all just really fun, amazing people because they always are like encouraging my shenanigans rather than like Instagram, who's like, stop everything you're doing it wrong. Snapchat is like, show us more. So I think sometimes you just have to find like your people, which sounds weird, but it is.
No, it's true. We learned that with this podcast. Like, we found our people on TikTok before they started heavily censoring it, because at the beginning, when the pandemic first started, we were able to put all sorts of videos out, no problem, and they wouldn't censor us. And we met a lot of people that way that started listening to our podcast, and we built a community of moms that smoke weed, because a lot of these moms don't know other moms that do this.
We're very lucky to have had like a relationship in high school and college where we were like, you know, we were smoking throughout college socially. Then when we had kids, we were able to still smoke socially. But there's other moms out there who, like, believe it or not, they don't have that community with others, you know, that smoke. I mean, you're in LA, so it's more kind of acceptable out there.
Yeah,
it's been around. You guys are like you guys kind of started the frontier of weed over here because you guys were first. So I think it's a little more accepted over there. It's gone through its thing. Over here, it's still kind of, I mean, everywhere. There's a different kind of stigma everywhere.
But like we usually ask, obviously your mom and parents must be pretty cool with it. She gave you your bud bar for your bridal shower.
Great.
So like your family is fine with cannabis consumption, you know, and was it always like that? Like growing up, were they like open and honest about it, or had any?
I would say that I was raised by hippies. I don't know how else to explain it. I was raised by just a bunch of hippies around me. So I feel like it was never something that was like bad or like taboo bad. You know what I mean? So I think my parents raised me in a really open household as far as everything. And that doesn't mean that we were sitting there smoking a joint together. They would never do that, but not to say they wouldn't smoke one by themselves. They just won't do it with their kids. We were raised in a really open household when it came to everything, whether that was sex or experimenting with drugs or questions. My parents had a rule that if my sister and I went out, we felt uncomfortable where we were at, we could call them with no questions asked. They would come pick us up, whether it was in the back of an alley or the back of a truck or a football field on a random night. They did not care. They would pick us up, no questions asked. They just wanted us to be able to know that we can call them. You know, there's some kids that get in trouble and they're stuck somewhere and they feel like I can't call home because I'll get in trouble. We never felt like that. My mom has literally found me in an alley with zero directions because I don't know directions. I've had to point out bricks on the wall, and I don't know how she found me, but she did. And I got in the car, and I can picture her with her rollers in, and she just looked at me and she said, "I'm so proud of you for calling me when you knew you shouldn't be somewhere that you were at." And I just spilled all the beans. I told her everything. So it was
I love that.
She didn't even have to ask me what happened. I told her everything before she could even say, well, what happened?
Wow.
And I realize now as an adult in raising my own kids, I want that same rule, because I had to call my mom in a few times, and one was really serious where I felt like I was going to get sexually assaulted, and I was living in Virginia. My mom was visiting me for the first time. Well, she was bringing me to college, and I had met up with somebody that I met on Facebook from the same college. I went to a party and I realized it was not a party. It was me and like 20 guys, and I'm just sitting there waiting for the party to start, and I realized I'm the party. And I called my mom and I'm like,
terrifying.
You need to find me. And I described a tree and a bridge, and she found me. Literally, I hid in the bathroom and she came and found me. But that was because we had that foundation. And I think that was the same foundation when it came to drugs or marijuana or whatever the drug, whatever it is, whatever your vice was. Of course, they're not saying like sit here and do crack. That's not it. But they were like, you're going to try things. You're going to want to try things. You're going to want to experiment. You're young. We did it. And we want you to know what it feels like before you're out there in the world, and then you experiment. So when we would travel, my parents would let us drink, not like get drunk, but we would sip. So alcohol was never a big deal to us. Like when most people get to college, they go crazy. They drink too much. They're throwing up. They're getting alcohol poisoning. And I'm like, I don't like vodka. And they're like, how do you know you don't like vodka? I tried it before. What do you mean? You don't know you don't like vodka? Like, so I quickly realized I was raised by a pack of hippies. Like, how do you not know that what vodka
They
tastes
knew
like?
about gentle parenting back then.
So they would let us sip alcohol out of the country when we were older, and I realized quickly that I didn't really like alcohol that much. Like, it just wasn't my thing. So when I got to college, I wasn't a big drinker. Where everyone else was shit faced, I'm like, you guys look stupid. Like, you don't know your limits. Like, I think that sometimes at parenting, we have to learn that we did the same shit our kids are about to do, but why do you want them to look dumb while doing it? Like, let them figure it out at home. To me, I would rather my daughter say, like, I want to know what alcohol tastes like and tell me rather than go and buy some shitty alcohol and get in a car with her friend.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say the same thing with weed. I'm not going to pass you the joint, but if I smell
Right.
it in the room, I'm probably just going to hope that it's
Make,
good. Like,
make sure you're smoking good shit.
right. Just going to pray that you bought it from a good place. But I think it's so crazy now, like just being a mom, and I still think I'm a young mom, and now watching like my kids grow up and watching my parents get older, and they're way more relaxed now with me seeing things than they were when I was a kid. And I'm like, is that an edible? Like, I'm like zooming into my dad's shit in the car trying to figure it out. And it's just crazy now. But I really think that I was raised by hippies. I'll tell everybody I had a hippie growing up. So
Well, they
it's
did a good then. They gave you a good foundation. I think that's a great, way to parent is to be open enough to that so that your kids aren't scared to come to you when they need you the most.
yeah,
I was definitely scared to go to my parents growing up. I would not
yeah.
call them. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
So
My parents
that's
know
the
way
relationship.
too much. They know way too much about me. It's sick, probably how much they know.
But you can see the beautiful relationship you have with your parents on Teen Mom, and when you have them on your show too, on your podcast.
Yeah.
So tell us a little about the other stuff that you do outside of Teen Mom. You have your Think Loud Crew podcast, and then you have your was it your organization that you
Yeah.
started, the
So
foundation?
my sister and I started a podcast during COVID. We were tired of just talking to each other and looking at each other. I'm like, let's talk to each other with like a purpose, and hopefully somebody can relate to it. So we started Think Loud Crew, and the premise behind it was kind of like the thoughts that we say in our head but won't say it loud, and now we will. Um, so we have Think Loud Crew, and it turned into something way bigger than we ever thought. I didn't think anyone would ever listen to us, to be honest.
Same.
And then all of a sudden, I'm like, bitch, there are people tuning in. Like, we need to say something important.
And writing and like responding and commenting.
Yes.
You have a very engaged audience.
It's crazy. So we have the podcast. On top of that, I started a nonprofit back in 2027 called Rage Regardless Rye, which talks about bringing awareness to metabolic deficiencies. My daughter has a rare condition called VLCAD where she can't process fatty foods, and I knew nothing about it. I didn't even know that that was a thing until my child had it, and I was either like, I can be sad and depressed, or I can do something about it. And me starting the nonprofit was me doing something about it. Um, and then I have Nails by Writer K, which was started also in COVID, and I was a week away from having Ace, and we launched. And everyone was like, you need to be in the bed with your fat ass stomach and just lay there, and you are launching a business. Why? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm crazy. But we have Nails by Writer K, where my writer goes and she picks out her nail polish colors. She names all her colors. And it's a mommy and me line. It's all non-toxic for children, but also for adults. And we love it. It does really well. We're coming out with a book about a writer being like this mini boss. She takes on her persona very
Seriously.
much. Very seriously, she thinks that I'm her worker. Technically, I am according to our paperwork, but I'm like, girl, bye. And then my dad and I recently just started recording. We're going to launch soon, but we haven't launched yet. But we have a new podcast coming out called Unfiltered Kitchen, where 3 weeks I talk with him, and then 3 weeks he talks with my husband, just giving different perspectives on life. And that man can talk. So if you tune in, get ready to have your listening ears on.
I think he wanted to be on our podcast.
I was just about to say, I think he really
I
wanted
think
to be on our
that was like
podcast.
some jealousy coming in.
I think he was like, I want to be on.
Yeah, because we just stopped filming ours, and I'm like, okay, you need to go, like, leave the office now. And he's like, well, why can't I do it? I'm like, it's called Pot Smoking Moms. Like, you are a dad. You weren't invited, so it's okay. Do you guys have guys on here?
Yeah, we've had dads on here for sure. Yeah. I
Okay,
mean, it's Pot Smoking Moms because we're moms, and obviously we definitely have a bigger audience of mothers,
Right?
But we have pot smoking parents, really, that listen.
Yeah, we have a lot of dads.
We have a lot
dads
of that support us as well.
Support us,
and then
nice.
we brought on the show as well as guests. So
we have pot smoking dads. We just don't have the time, energy, and resources to
start
do
that
podcast. But we're holding it for any dads that are interested.
Like if they're husbands or something. I don't know.
Oh, that's cool. Well, we have to do this again, and I would love to have you guys come on Think Loud Crew to bring awareness to pot smoking moms.
Advocacy.
We would love that. Yeah.
Advocacy.
It's advocacy 100% because the only way to really break this stigma is to continue to have these conversations. So I was very excited to find such a positive female mother role model that actually is on TV, has a huge platform, and is honest about her consumption of cannabis. When I saw that, I was like, oh my God.
Welcome to the group. Now, we just have to advocate for better laws everywhere to get people out of jail. Like
100%.
Yeah, that's crazy.
In jail for this.
Yeah.
Which is nuts to even think about. But no, I would love to have you guys on the Think Loud Crew, both.
Thank you. We would
Everybody
love that.
on there smokes, so not to put their business out there. I'm pretty sure that they've showed it themselves. Well, at least my sister has. I don't know about Shannon, so I take that back. Maybe Shannon doesn't smoke. Maybe she does.
I think she was on that. Like, you guys were answering questions, and I think you guys got a question
yes.
about it, and like everybody kind of hesitated to answer, and you were the first to say, like, I smoke.
Sometimes you gotta break that.
Yeah, you do. That's good. You need to do that so more people start coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, I agree.
You gotta come out of the green closet and be open and honest about your consumption.
Yeah, because for a long time I was a closet smoker.
I get it. So was I. It wasn't until we started this podcast. And when we first started this podcast, we did not show our faces. We didn't. We tried to just do voices. We did not do any video, nothing like that. And like after a while, we're like, if we're really advocating for cannabis consumption, we have to be comfortable at least showing our face. Maybe not saying our name so that our employers can't look us up. You know,
right?
What I mean?
We're not Googleable.
Yeah, but at least our faces and be like.
Yeah, like how can you want to destigmatize it if you won't, show your face? Like, you won't be honest about it.
Everybody's at their level of how comfortable they're willing to be, because everybody has different jobs. Some people have jobs that is like, if they find out and you lose your job,
you'll get in trouble.
That's how you support your family.
Yeah.
So, until
do people know your names now or no?
No.
Well, when people get to know
our
us,
patrons, like our community does,
right?
Okay. Like our close community, but we don't put it on our podcast.
We try
not
on
our
to.
YouTube.
Okay.
But our the people that become part of our community definitely know our real names.
And that's because for people not to be able to Google you and send it to your corporate job, right?
Exactly. If for some reason my employer decided to Google me and
you don't want pot smoking moms to be the first thing they see.
No, I work in HR in a corporate company.
Oh yeah, girl. No name, no face.
Right.
I'm already being brave enough with the face showing.
I would have a mask on right now.
We're gonna do puppets. That was the other way we're gonna do puppets at one point.
Yeah, we're talking about doing puppets.
When you said you don't show your face, my dumb ass was like, "Oh, they wore masks," and then you were like, "We didn't show anything." I'm like, "Oh, never mind."
Right.
We just didn't do video at all.
Yeah.
It was just solely the audio podcast before.
I like video though. I feel like we can connect better and people connect to you better. I understand completely why you don't want to put all your business out there. I get it, especially working in HR. You know, shit. I
In
would.
corporate America, like,
Yeah, I wouldn't show shit either. So it's all good.
but I don't care. I'll still come on Think Loud Crew if you're inviting me.
I won't put your name out there either.
Yeah, my face will be out there. That's for
So
sure.
your face will be there.
I don't care. I'll do it.
And I'm like, girl, I'm like, at this point, if your coworkers don't know that you're a stoner,
Look, if they find this content, they smoke weed.
right?
Oh, that's a good point.
I'll throw it back on them.
That is such a good point. I would look at them like, why were you even Googling that?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. How did you get here?
Why were you Googling pot smoking moms?
Right. How did you even end up on my shit? Yeah, so you just throw it back on them. But I think it would be fun to have you guys on. And I feel like this has been such a conversation within our own podcast, just talking about cannabis and moms and, you know, the whole stigma and taboo-ness behind it. So you guys have way more insight than we do. I mean, we're just on the other side of it. But I feel like because you guys have been talking to so many people in this world, you'd have a way better insight than we would.
Yeah, even if like you're lucky to have parents who are open about it, you know. I kept it secret for a while and then I was like, "Oh, I'm so proud of this community that I've built." And then, you know, breaking it to my mom and just to some more judgment. Like it's always like a weird thing, but it's very nice to have parents who are open and wanting to talk about it. I think we talk a lot about our parents and how they, you know, talk to their kids about weed, and a lot of them are like, go the education route. And a lot of times in places like where you live, you can grow the plant and basically be like, this is a plant and we grow it and it's medicine. And that's basically like, those are the basic things that parents do to educate their kids.
Yeah, my dad had a plant growing up. We just thought it was a tree.
Yeah, no idea.
You see, he was doing it in the background. He was planting the seeds in the background.
Now I know why I'm like this.
We should have your dad on our podcast next time for sure.
Yeah, we'll do it again with him. I'm sure he will have many stories to tell you.
Or with Zach too, pot smoking dad too, right? Zach, you consume together, right?
We do.
Yeah,
Zach way more than me. I feel like he's like really good at doing it and like living his whole entire life. Like, and you would never know. Except sometimes when we take pictures and his eyes are basically shut, and then
I've seen a couple of those pictures,
pointing it out on the comments, like tell Zach to open his eyes.
It's funny.
I saw one picture that was like taken at a reunion, at one of the reunions you guys did, and it was him and I can't remember her name from Young and Pregnant. Her man, I don't remember his name. I didn't watch a lot of the Young and Pregnant stuff, but Kayla's boyfriend. It was like a picture of the two of them, and they both looked like they had really squinty eyes. And I was like,
eyes were shut.
I'm pretty sure they were smoking.
It just came back from lighting up.
I'm just like, you know, I put Zach through a lot of shit. I'm like, take this picture, do this, come on this, do this with me, film this. And I had to realize a long time ago, this was something that I signed up for this. He didn't necessarily sign up for this. And he has different anxiety levels than I do. And sometimes before we film, he has to smoke before we film. And I'm like, your eyes aren't open. And he's like, they are. Like, do you want me to film this scene with you or not? And I'm like, I've had to learn that this helps him with his own anxiety. And I had to kind of step back and accept that for what it is. And accept that we have different intake levels. Like we smoke differently, which we do. He likes to do certain things when he's high, and sometimes I don't like to do certain things when I'm high. Versus I like to do certain things. Like if I smoke, like I'm gonna go smoke right after this. I want to be kind of like left alone. I want to enjoy my glass of wine. I don't want anybody to touch me. I just want to chill. Where he's probably going to touch me. I don't want to play with you.
This is me time. Leave me alone.
Do you have a special place where you go and smoke? Is it just outside, or is it like a one room in the house you're able to do it? Like I have one room in the house I can do it, and I do it outside.
And a lot of parents do it in the laundry room
or the garage.
Okay, so when it's cold outside, we go in the garage. when it's like, right now it's kind of, what time is it? It's like 6 o'clock. So it's still like kind of in between that night to day. So we have a balcony that's on our room that we do it in, or our shower, or
Oh,
the bathroom. Okay, now I'm just like telling on myself.
I know a lot of
Yeah.
moms that smoke in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because, you know, sometimes that's the only way you can get away. I mean, when they're real small, they still go in the bathroom all the time. But like, you know, moms
Yeah.
with older kids, like, I'm in the bathroom, that's my time. They're not gonna bother
Yeah.
me. We go in there,
Well, we
smoke.
have our kids in the bed at like 7 o'clock, 7:15. So once they're down, it's like, we're like, it's time to party. Like, and our version of partying is literally us also getting in the bed. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Word.
it. But Zach smokes a lot in our shower, because I think the steam and everything, it just, we have like, I have a bench, and I'll like sneak in and hit it once and then sneak out. But it's fun. I think, you know, sometimes when I have those real long, stressful days, it really just helps me calm down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It just, if I have no appetite, like right now, I haven't ate all day. I've worked all day. I don't have an appetite to eat, but I also know it's 6 o'clock and I haven't ate all day. I need to eat something. I'll probably have to smoke a little bit before I have an appetite to even eat. So it does help me with other things other than just like the feeling.
Other than just, you know, yeah, being high. There's all sorts of benefits.
Connecting with your spouse too, because
It is
like
a good
that
bonding
that
moment.
sometimes
Like,
is a little moment you guys get
it's
to.
so hectic all day, parenting,
I
doing your
know.
jobs, doing your things,
Your
and
kids
then you get that
interrupting you
moment
every
together
2
to, like,
minutes.
sit down, sesh. You guys can actually talk to each other for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Weed, and then it helps you connect too.
Yeah, I agree. It does. I never even thought about it like that, but it does.
I don't have any more questions. I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about before
plug.
we plug. I know that obviously your YouTube channel. We didn't talk about your family YouTube channel.
I forgot we had one. I'm so shitty at posting on there. We have a YouTube channel. It's called The Davis Family. Go subscribe, but don't expect a lot, because we try our best to get at least 3
You're doing a
uploads
lot
a
of other
week.
things.
And you know what I realized is that I talk a lot. Like, I talk on our podcast on Think Loud Crew. I now have to talk on my dad's podcast, Unfiltered Kitchen. I talk on the show, and then I still have to talk in real life. I'm like, sometimes I'm just tired of talking. So then we have YouTube videos, and I don't want to talk anymore. So people are like, you need to upload mode. I'm like, I don't want to keep talking. I just want to shut the fuck up. Like, I just leave me alone. I don't want to talk anymore. But we do have the YouTube channel. I'm trying to do better at posting it. I always say that. Everyone always comments and says I'm going to do better, and then I don't do better. But I'm trying my best. Other than that, you know, I feel like, what else do we have going on? The show Teen Mom is supposed to start back soon. I would love to say when an air date is, but they don't tell me anything.
I know. I've been waiting. I was like, there's been so much speculation. Is it going to get canceled? We haven't heard when the new season's going to start. And I'm like, I know they're filming because Cheyenne wasn't able to record with us because she was filming.
These last few weeks have been so busy trying to get this season finished. So it should start airing like soon. They keep on telling us summer. We don't know anything more than you guys know, honestly. I find out when the first commercial airs, when somebody sends it to me.
Wow.
So I'm just waiting for that moment, but it's definitely coming on soon, and I'm super excited for this next season. So just tune into that whenever that is.
I always watch.
Oh, great. But I think we just have to, you know, continue this conversation and have you guys on Think Loud Crew.
Awesome. That would be fantastic.
Be down.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Love to talk to Rye.
Oh God, that little.
She seems like a hippie. She said
yeah.
she wants to live on a farm. I was like, you guys throw weed on there, don't you?
My sister and I are just complete opposites. Like, so opposites of everything. She's so hippied out. Just once, like I said, farm life, everything. If she could just paint the ceiling and wear overalls all day and smoke, she would be the happiest person ever.
That sounds great to me.
You guys would get along so well.
Yeah. No, I just realized I said Ryan. I meant Kyle, and I was like,
oh well, Sometimes we call her that just because of her first name, so I just
Oh,
feel like
okay, okay.
Kyle. Yeah. No, it's all good. But no, Kyle would love this. So that's why I want to do it again.
We're doing it. Manifesting that. Thank you so much again for coming on our show and taking the time and being so open with your story. Love it. Thank you so much.
All the
Thank you,
best to you.
guys.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks
Have a
again,
good rest of
Cheyenne.
your evening. Well, your evening's just getting started, so have a good evening.
I'm about to have a great one. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, bye.